Hi, Matthias. Lovely having you with us today on the European VC Spotlight campaign. Really pleased to have you on board with us today and to find out a little bit more about you. So let's kick off this session and yeah, maybe briefly tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Yes, hi Dilan. Thanks for having me today. My name is Mathias Flattin. I'm 34. I'm a partner at Axeleo Capital. We are based in France. I've been a VC for 10 years. I've been a board member in 17 companies, generating 9 exits so far by investing mostly in startups and also hardware and marketplaces. I discovered Proptech 7 years ago and decided 3 years ago to focus on it at 100%. This is how I became the managing partner of Axeleo Proptech 1, which is a seed fund dedicated to Contech and Proptech in Europe.
Amazing. Yeah, well, very exciting. 9 exits already. That's quite an achievement. So congratulations on that. And yeah, you've already mentioned the VC you're representing today. So tell us a little bit more about the VC, what you do, and maybe which aspect of the company life cycle do you focus on? What are your average ticket sizes? Anything that people might be interested in finding out more about you.
Sure. So first, the specificity of Axeleo is to be both a VC and an accelerator. So we are dedicated to seed stage. That's the reason why we do both seed and acceleration. We never raise funds over 100 million euro, for example. That's not our strategy. Our strategy is to be able to invest small tickets at pre-seed or seed stage. So from 100,000 euros to 1 million initially, with a commitment that can increase up to 3 million euro on the follow-on rounds. This is basically our strategy. And to be sure we bring added value, we focus on vertical investment thesis to become experts on the topic we address. So 2 topics as of today: enterprise SaaS for the first fund we raised in 2017, and Contech Proptech for the second fund we raised in 2020.
Very good. Thank you very much. That is very interesting to hear. And obviously you've been doing this now for a number of years. We're halfway through the year now. What are your plans for the remainder of 2021?
First, Proptech and Contech in Europe represent a young but growing ecosystem of more than 3,000 startups, as you may know. So it's very early. All these startups are mainly at seed stage, and seed companies require value-added investors. That's why our accelerator and vertical expertise is so important to bring value to these founders. So this year we want to continue to push a lot and deploy our capital. We've met 1,600 European Proptech and Contech so far on the past 12 months since the inception of the fund. We invested in 4 companies announced, 2 more coming in Europe, and we want to continue like that. So because we know all these companies very well, we also think we can help traditional players to digitalize themselves, their process. So we work very closely with our limited partners as well, the corporates who invested in the fund, and we also study opportunities to invest in more traditional companies to help them transform the model, transform their workflow, become an operating company 2.0. That's what we want to do this year. And perhaps as well, we think that because this ecosystem is very young, it is important to gather the players, and by the players I mean the startups, the corporates, but also the VCs, because many Proptech and Contech VCs appeared last year, like our fund. So it is important to fight against this clusterization coming from the real estate industry, which is very national, country by country. We have to play at European scale, so we have to get to know each other, make international rounds since seed stage. This is what we'd like to do in that ecosystem.
Okay, fantastic. Well, it sounds like you've been very, very busy, 1,600 companies, that's a lot. And then your focus at the moment obviously is Europe-wide, and you talked about the national or the Europe-wide ecosystem, but do you have a particular country focus at the moment? Would you say most of your portfolio companies are in any particular region, or do you really try to have a broad approach just now?
So initially we were French, so we met a lot of French company initially, but now I think these last days, these last month, since 6 months, I would say that 90% of the deal flow is coming from outside France, so European countries. One of the last deals we announced, Propster, is based in Austria. We are under term sheet with a deal in Romania. So we would like to do things in the Nordics, in the Baltics, because we are amazed of what's happening in those two regions. So no specific focus except Europe. We think because of these hyper-local markets of real estate, we have the capacity to do some arbitrage to find the right country where the market is more mature, rather than another market, another country. So that's what we'd like to play with that European-wide strategy. Okay,
amazing. Obviously, I'm a big supporter of Europe, so I love hearing that there's a Europe-wide focus, and I can certainly see in my everyday work, all the markets are different. Every market has different opportunities, and it's great to hear that you also support growth in the different markets. And then my last question of today really is, obviously we're recruiters in PropTech, and we get a lot of candidates that are particularly interested in working for the VCs internally. What kind of advice would you have for these kind of candidates? How can they get access to a career in a PropTech VC?
Yeah, so I will advise them to meet a lot of people for a start and try to walk up the beaten path. And PropTech is quite new in Europe, and Contech too, far more. So everything needs to be reinvented in the venture capital side as well. PropTech is the combination of brick and mortar and digital, which are two very opposite concepts. Older VCs are sometimes too formatted to adapt to this new investment thesis, because it is not necessarily compatible with the plain vanilla SaaS businesses we've all invested in the past. So it requires conservative real estate players to be compatible with very young startups, focused on short-term sales cycles. So any refreshing idea is warmly welcome. You can either come from the real estate ecosystem or the startup ecosystem, but you have to be ready to learn the opposite.
Good, brilliant. No, great answer. I will certainly keep that in mind when speaking to future candidates, and we'll advise them accordingly. So, Mathias, thank you so much for your time today. It's been a very interesting conversation. Lots of valuable insight. I hope everyone enjoyed listening to the conversation as much as I enjoyed having it. And yeah, I wish you a wonderful rest of the day and speak to you very soon.
Sure. Thanks for having me again. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.